Hi, everyone. This is your friend Bill Greeter. We're going to go through an 8D methodology of problem solving. So I figured I'd take you through the 17 slides quickly that Kyle had shared with us a year ago or so, or maybe in November, and then take you through the form and understanding that, with the escape we had, we're going to get this started, the 8D process, as soon as we have Carlos back in the building on Monday. And I think, yeah, so here we go. First, here's the training plan. And there's the 8Ds, 8 disciplines. And we're going to talk a little bit about the introduction, the history, and then go through the 8 disciplines. Very, very similar to the DMAIC as we do it in our A3 process. And here goes. So, introduction. Problems appear in any business. Sometimes they are easy to remove, other times almost impossible. When they occur, we want to run the proper action. This is a very disciplined approach to the problem solving. Occurring problem indicates we didn't get the root cause, so we want to make sure we do that here, and we don't want to just heal the problem temporarily. And reasons for the failure to eliminate the real cause is usually not properly defining the problem or incomplete corrective action implementation. The systematic methodology for problem solving is widely used in the automobile industry. It's simple and logical. It's known and used by many companies and produces effective documentation of the problem. The history, U.S. Department of Defense in 1974. That's been discontinued later on, but that's when it started. And the concept is to correctly identify the cause and apply actions to prevent recurrence. And there they are again laid out 1 through 8. The problem itself can be detected by anyone, including staff, quality control, and the customer. And the steps are simply, and they're going to sound familiar: assemble a team, 2 to 10 people, completely define the problem, stop the process and contain it, investigate actual cause, establish and introduce proper corrective actions, verify whether they're effective, then introduce structural action to prevent recurrence, and then verify and congratulate the team. So establishing the team, again, we want a, like A3, we want a cross-functional team. The quantity and diversity depends on the complexity. In this case, Pratt has asked us for this escape to include Carlos, April, Dan Bossi, I believe, Paul. Yeah. And so it's basically people from different parts of the company, and we have adequate capability to introduce proper solution. And the team should have a leader who supervises and closes 8D. The problem description, again, this is the stage where you really need to describe the problem. Proper problem description is the starting point, and the statement should include impacted product or process, a clear description, a location the problem was detected, where we caught it, or where they caught it, and the scale of the problem, percent, reject, quantity of pieces. So those are the 4 things that we want to put in that second discipline, the problem description. It's important that it's measurable, not just words, and we know that, and it enables clear evaluation of the corrective actions. And the third discipline, containment action. This step differentiates most because we pull it aside, making sure there's no further escapes. We want to make sure there's no defects delivering non-conforming products to the customer. And it can be stoppage of the product, production and shipment, additional visual control, informing the customer about the problem, segregate of goods, informing operators about the problem, the awareness piece. So that's something that I think Rodney can do, as soon as possible, is to inform the operators about the problem, pull everybody together, and just take them through what the problem is. And we want to make sure that we can get a record of the fact that they understand it. Root cause, and this is probably the most important one of the 8Ds. To eliminate the problem, identify the real cause, which is the root cause. We don't want to just cure symptoms. A common excuse found in the production world is operator error, and in reality, the real cause is much deeper, because it could be a lack of tools, it could be lack of training or ineffective training, it could be hurried work, it could be the production process isn't suitable for quality requirements, etc. And continuing on with the root cause, as you know, one of the best ways to do it is the 5 why method. For example, here's one. There's a short circuit on connector legs on PCB after wave soldering. Why did it occur? Because insufficient flux on the PCBA surface. That was the root cause of short circuits. Well, why did the problem occur? Wave soldering machine adjustment, flux amount, incorrect setup. Well, why did that happen? So if you continue to ask why, if there's no magic number with 5, but eventually you'll get to root cause, which is no standard training material and no trainer to assure high level of operators, technologist knowledge. It all drills right down. So, and it's something that we do with the team. It's not something you can do alone. And again, we identify the root of the problem and then eliminate the root cause, allows us to really solve it and not just the symptoms, which are the leaves of the tree. 5D, corrective action. This is where which action should be introduced in the short term to ensure the process product is controlled. And some examples are introducing additional control and process, introducing additional other processes, rework defective units found inside, rework units returned from customer, inform the supplier about the defective part delivered and their exchange, etc. And validating corrective action, we want to make sure that once the corrective action is done, the 6D is about validating and make sure it worked. Should be based on real data from the process. Success should not be determined based on opinions and subjective evidence. So we need to see numbers, lower reject number percent, test control results, engineering measurements, other evidence of improvement. And then 7D is to prevent the recurrence of the product. We want to make sure that we have taken actions to prevent recurrence of the problem. We define the long-term solution to replace the short-term actions defined in 5D. So also referred to as mistake proofing. For examples, modify or make the proper jig, changing process parameters in order to prevent defects. And I think that's the case with this one, where we're no longer stamping and there's going to be a machining operation. Changing process tools by the supplier, which make parts, changing procedures, changing documentation. And we're going to be doing some of that, and preparing systematic and full training for staff. We're going to be doing some of that. And finally, verify and congratulate the team. That's the last step, very similar to our A3 closings. The last step is to verify that the introduced actions are effective, and verify by comparing the scale of the original problem as described in 2D with results from next deliveries of material or results from next batches. Again, we're talking about measurable data. We want to make sure that the verification is based on data. And the leader of the team verifies the results and then reflect on each member of the team, learn from the process, what improvements can be incorporated for future problem solving, etc. And that's the training. So I want to take you over to the forum real quick, which is what we're going to start kind of going through. And the forum is there's our form. So again, the form is, you can see it's 7 pages long. The top of it is the tracking number, the escape number, or the non-conformance, probably take it right up to NAD key, a customer number, and the response due date. And as you can see on the top, they use kind of a full sphere, a full moon here as a status of where this is at. Where a quarter moon means that the registered problem and the short-term corrective action is in place. Half moon is long-term corrective action is developed but not implemented. And 3/4 of moon is long-term corrective action is implemented and monitoring and evaluating effectiveness. And then when we have a full moon, long-term corrective action is confirmed effective and the problem's been closed. So again, I think the short way of thinking about these are the 8D, and we're going to include a 0 as a 9th one. One is prepare, which is what we're doing now, starting with this little bit of quick training refresher for some of you guys. 1, a team. 2, describe the problem. 3, contain it. 4, diagnose it. 5, solve. 6, validate. 7, prevent. And then 8, wrap. So again, prepare for problem solving. Does the problem warrant an 8D? And I guess in our case, yes, it does. Is an emergency response action needed? A team assembled, and I think the team, again, we have that it's been specified by Pratt, who the team's going to be, and we'll get that filled in. And then 2A, the problem description is with part numbers, our customers, list all the data and documents that might help you to define the problem more exactly. Is there an action plan to collect additional information? And you could actually do a sketch of the problem here also. What it is, 2B is what is and what isn't. And it kind of goes through the who, what, why, where, when, how much, many, and how often. So it's a way to think through making sure that we have a really good problem description. And that's that. And then 3 is interim containment actions. What are the steps that we've already taken to contain the problem and fix it until the permanent correction is in place? And we want to validate that the action taken actually works. And we're going to document the actions in the action item table, which I'll show you in a second. 4A and B, we're getting to the root cause now. We want to analyze for the root cause of the problem. Brainstorm, we might use the Ishikawa diagram or the fishbone here. You know, we have in the 4A section. The 4B, again, we talked about why, that would go on the form here. And then 4C, here's the action plan based on the team's discussion. Complete the root cause action plan to verify and validate root cause and test the escape point. And document this on the action item table. And you'll see that in a second again, as I said. 5, identify solutions. That goes in this box. They address and correct the root cause. They're determined to be the best of all the alternatives. Document and verify the permanent corrective action in the action item table. 6 is validation. Did it work? How do we know? It's got to be in numbers. 7, prevention. Determine what improvements or systems and processes would prevent problem from recurring. Ensure the corrective action remains in place and successful. And then address similar systems. We want to make sure that there's anything like it, that we also apply some of the same countermeasures to those parts also. And we'll review documents. I mean, there's going to be quite a few improvements, you know, additions to some of these things, FMEA, work instructions, the quality management system is going to be updated. So there's quite a bit of, once we learn, you know, there's going to be updates as Paul explained to me today. These will be changing. And then 8, congratulate your team and validate that it was, in fact, was the PSW effective. And here's the action item table, as we talked about. This is where we're going to, you know, all of our activities like the root cause analysis and other things are going to get recorded. And you'll see here is the quarter moon, half moon, 3/4 and full. So that's the form. That's the presentation on 8D. I think Paul's plan is to get this started on Monday when Carlos is back from his vacation. And yeah, so let's get it done by Wednesday. I think when we have our visitors, we want to kind of be through a good chunk of this and look forward to working with you guys.